Good morning, guys. The day that I've been waiting for months is finally here. We're pulling the garlic today. Okay, so I planted this garlic last October, I want to say, probably at the end of October. And it's all Russian red. And there's a lot of it is store-bought just because my garlic harvest last year wasn't great. So I'm trying to find my little indicator. Okay, so I had planted this. I just stuck this in the soil just to identify. This was the garlic that this first row here. You'll see that there's not much that came up there. Of the cloves that I had kept from my harvest last year, you can see that they're really small. I'm not expecting much from these. But everything else to the left of that, and then the rest of the bed, was all bulbs that I had bought at the store. At the garden center, not from the supermarket. So what we're going to do today is pull the garlic. I'll probably start with one just to see if they're actually ready. To know if they're ready, let me just find a good example here. Here's one. So what you're looking for, hold on. What you're looking for is that the bottom three leaves are brown, and like the rest is starting to go slowly. You don't want to leave them in the ground too long because it can encourage rot if it's too moist, if it's too wet. And every one of these leaves is one coat of skin around the clove. So you want to leave some on there because the more you have, the longer they're going to store and the more that they're protected. If you leave them in too long, there's also a chance that they'll split. I don't know if you've seen that. If I can find a photo of one, I'll put it up on screen where the cloves just start to split apart, even in the soil. So I'm going to set up the camera and we're going to tackle this bed. Okay, so I'm expecting a mix of really small, some really good sized ones, and the rest is probably going to be in the medium range. And they say not to pull them, but I'll be honest, yes, I have a trowel. And I'll start with a trowel, but by the end of this bed, I'm going to be ripping them out by hand. This is a small one, I can already tell. Yeah, itty bitty, which is fine. We're going to have some small ones. I brought my bowl, and we're just going to pop them in there when we're done. This one should be a medium-sized one. But you know what? It's hard to tell just by what's going on in the stalk, because I've seen where like good-sized stalks end up with some moisture there. See, this is a fairly good-sized stalk, but it's a small bulb. But look at those roots. Super satisfying. All right, I think I'm just going to do row by row. We'll just play by ear. Last year, I didn't have a very good harvest last year. I had all kinds of issues in my garden last year. And most of them were really, really tiny, even smaller than this one that I just pulled. Like this one is small. It's small-ish. It's not too bad, but all of my garlic last year was smaller than that even. It's pretty sad. All right, let's keep going. But we've got rain coming, and I just didn't want to leave this in the ground anymore. That sound of the roots ripping out of the soil. I love that sound. I harvested the potatoes last week. I had posted a video of that, I think right before this one. It's a nice one. And just the sound, that harvest sound of just pulling things out of the ground. It's too funny. Yeah, these are still a little bit small. But that's okay. It's still edible. It's still usable, so nothing here. Oh, this one's completely dead. I'm not expecting much from here then. Yeah, this is like still one little clove. That one never grew. This is one of my garlics, which, again, I'm not expecting much from this. Yeah, super tiny, but that's okay. That's a weed. Tiny. Tiny. Oh God, this one didn't look. This one didn't even grow past the bulb that it was. Well, where am I? There we go. It's too funny. I'm still gonna eat it. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, let's start back on this side. That's not bad. And you just want to brush off the dirt. And I'm going to cure these. I'm going to lay them in my pantry on racks inside the house to let them dry. And you don't want to wash them. You just want to let the soil dry off right on the... Oh, this one's completely dead. Died back. You just want to let them dry off naturally. And the whole stalk, all of these, there's still some green on them. But what you want it to look like when you're curing them is that they're all brown like this. That means that they've dried all the way through. And they'll just store for longer. I mean, I still have garlic from last year. We're still eating it. It's lasted this long, believe it or not. And you can eat these right away. Like, you can harvest this and cook with it right away. That's not a... These are really small. But that's okay. Garlic is garlic. It's still going to be tasty. Start back up at the top here. Yeah, and it's only you cure them, and curing is just drying them out. That's a decent size. Drying them out so that you can store them for... What happened here? Look at this. Look at this. That's not intentional. Like, that's not something you want to see. All right. I'd be curious to see what's in that one, that dangly one. Looks like moisture got to that one. Tiny. These are all very, very small along the edge here. I wonder if there was something going on here on that side of the bed. Is this a weed or is this a clove? I don't even know. This is a weed. Look at the roots on this thing. You'd think the bulb would be bigger with roots like these. It's all good. And these beds there's wood and logs and branches at the very bottom. This is a weed. And I read that when you fill a raised bed like that, it takes a little while for things that grow underground, like root veg, things like that, to adapt to that type of bed. I don't know if that's true. I can certainly say that with my experience, I've had issues with anything that grows above the soil, like lettuce and things like that, peas, whatnot. That I haven't had any issues with. But anything that I'm growing inside the soil hasn't been stellar. But this is year 2 now with these beds, so things should be stabilizing by now. Or at least by next year. Yeah, these are tiny, but that's okay. It's still garlic I don't have to buy at the store. Some small. And anything you don't have to buy at the store is a win in my book. And it's still going to taste better. This Russian red is super strong. If you're a fan of strong garlic, like my husband and I are. The Russian red is awesome for that. Super strong. And I had cut the scapes off the third week of June, so we're about a month, maybe 4 or 5 weeks after that. All right, hold on. Oh, let me do this last one, and then I'll come around on the other side. That's not a bad one. This is a good one. That's nice. That's decent. I've still grown much larger than this. Oops. But that's not bad. One of the best ones so far. All right, I'm going to move you. I'm going to bring you over to this side so you can see, get a closer look what's going on. I'll give you a quick update on the rest of the garden too while we're out here. There's a lot going on. Hold on, let me see. Let's go here. It's humid out today. That's a weed. Oh, I should also bring my bowl over. Just leave it there. Okay, I'll start at the end. Keep going. Yeah, it's been one thing that we've noticed. It's much more it's not that it's more humid here. Oh, there's a rock from the gravel. There's just more fog. We were just talking about that last night. That we went out for dinner, and there were just pockets of fog just hanging around. No rain in the forecast, but the fog rolls in. We're not near the ocean. I garden in Nova Scotia. That's zone 6. And we don't live near the ocean, but close enough that when the fog comes in, we do experience it. So like every morning in the summer, it's usually foggy. Like it's foggy right now. There's a haze. Whew. And it brings that humidity, which I'm sure the garden loves, which is awesome. It's been fun to learn how to garden in a different climate. We moved here from Southwest Ontario, and some of the differences we've seen is that we don't get those huge swings like the plus 30 to minus 15 in the winter, plus 30 plus in the summer, Celsius. I'll put what that conversion is on screen to Fahrenheit. Like it's a lot more moderate where we are now, which is nice. It's a relief, to be honest, because those swings were just like we don't get that huge heat. At least where we are. There might be areas in Nova Scotia that exists, maybe in the mainland or up in the valley, but not where we live. And I hear some of you are in the States, in the South, dealing with like crazy heat. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you grow things. It must be a challenge to deal with that type of heat. And I'm not good with extreme heat or extreme cold. So I've got a bit of a Goldilocks thing going on. If it's too hot, if it's too cold, I'm not good with that. It's uncomfortable. So I feel like we've won the jackpot with where we live now in terms of the climate. And I love it. It works good for me. But it's been fun learning how to garden in that type of environment. And the challenges with the with my soil issue last year, with the beds and just them adapting to having wood breaking down in them at the bottom of these beds. And just the climate itself has been fun. You know what? Let me take this out of the way. Has been an interesting, and I feel like things have been going well. It's a learning process. Like, I've been gardening for, what do you think now? How long have I been gardening? Since 2009. I dated back to the house where I started, and that's when we lived there. We moved there in 2009, somewhere around there. So a long time. And this is the only time where the climate really changed. And just learning how to garden in a new spot, new climate, new conditions. It's fun. I treat it as a challenge. The weather will not win. Actually, she always wins. Who are we kidding? But it's been fun just learning the different nuances of growing in a different area. Oh, this is a nice one. That's a nice one. It's funny, the larger bulb, yes, it has a larger stalk, but it doesn't have nearly as many roots as that other one did. Maybe it didn't need to try as hard. That's funny. What is this? Twig. All right, home stretch. This is a tiny little guy. Yeah, we're not going to be eating that one. This one either. Although it did make 2 little cloves. Oh my God, it's so tiny. I'm leaving the largest one there for last. Although I'm not very... It's so hard to tell. Don't know what to expect under there. All right, let's see. Not bad. All right. So we had maybe 1 or 2 good-sized ones, some really tiny ones, and mostly in the middling stage, which is pretty good considering. All right, let me clean up a bit and we'll take a look at what we've got. I'm pulling weeds. It's a habit. I can't stop myself. All right, let's see what we've got. All right, here we go. And I'll count them in a second. And I'll put the tally up on screen between largish, small, medium, and larger. But this is what we've got. And I'm trying to remember how many I planted. Probably about 80-ish. Because I usually do about 5 rows of about 40-ish. Is that right? That's not right. I'm trying to remember how far apart. Anyway, you know what? It'll be easier to just count them. It'll go much faster that way. But I'm pretty happy with it. It's better than last year. Last year we had a lot of like really tiny ones. Everything was like this size or smaller. And we've got a few like that, but at least we've got a few good sized ones too. So I'm good. I'm happy with that. As long as it's better than last year, that's a win in my book. All right, I'm going to leave those there for a second. I wanted to show you a couple of updates. So I harvested the potatoes from this bed a few days ago, and I've planted this up already with, let me see if I remember. I took a video just so that for myself, so that I remember what I planted where. So I've got collards, 2 collards on each end, collard greens, and then I have bok choy, mustard greens. I have a little batch of spinach, about 6 square feet in there. And then I did I do more bok choy, mustard? No, I think I just did mustard and collards. So this is all greens. So I should be starting to harvest that, I don't know, in about 50 to 60 days or so. And I like harvesting the outer leaves until it's time to pull the head. This was chard, which we did that one together. So let me see if there's anything coming up. It's a little early. I think it's too early. This is vetch. We're going to get rid of that guy. We're not welcome. Like, there's some things coming up, but I think they're weeds. I don't think they're actual. That might be. Anyway, it's early. I'm going to let it be. Cucumbers and melon, they are growing. I see flowers on the melon. I'm keeping my expectations low because I didn't expect these to germinate. I didn't expect these to grow. I've never, successfully grown melon. I think I've grown like 2 small melons in my whole gardening career. So we're just going to leave that with low expectations and go with the flow. This is all cucumbers. The tomatoes are doing well. Like, we're starting to see some green tomatoes on there. These are the buffalo steak tomatoes. These are all the full-size tomatoes. These are the cherry tomatoes. We've started picking 1 or 2. I see one there. There's another one there. Can you see it? This guy right here. But they're looking good. They're looking normal. There's tons of blooms. The leaves are green. There's some yellow, but I just pick those off whenever I pass by. Not a problem. Here's one right here. I'm just going to yank it off. Put it in my pocket. I don't know about you, but every time I go back into the house, my pockets are full of weeds. Here's another one. I just take them out. Here's another one. This one fell naturally. I just pull them off. Then I'll dump them inside. Oh, I see a vetch weed there. This is vetch. Last thing we want is for this to be in there strangling my tomato plants. Get you out of there. There we go. Into the pocket. It goes. My weed pocket. And I've actually done laundry and found remnants of weeds from my pockets. Anyway, it's all good. You guys understand. You know how it is. The raspberries have been ripening. Oh, look at this. If that doesn't say, like, pick me, I'm totally going to eat it. Oh my God. So good. So lucky. Anyway, I'm going to leave those there. I could stand here all day munching in the garden. The blueberries are bonkers. I only saw one that was ripe on this one yesterday, and I picked it. I'm checking to see if there's any more. Oh, I see one on the other side. I won't harvest today, but they're doing well. See that one right there? Back there. Oh, there's more up there. Oh, and there's more here. Check it out. They're getting ready. And I had picked like a good bowl off of these. These were the 2 that we planted this year. And there were a ton on these. There's still more there, which was awesome. I love having fruit in my garden. That's one thing that we only started doing at this house, was growing fruit, just because of the real estate. The beans are doing well. The bees and the lavender are going crazy. Hold on, let me show you. This is what I'm surrounded with, like, every day. This buzzing in the lavender. They're little bumblebees. On this lavender alone, I count 1, 2, 3, 4. Crazy. It's all good. That's why we planted it. Strawberries have slowed down, but they're starting to do a second flush. There's some berries there. They're starting to ripen up again. That's good. My carrots are starting to show some growth. I was poking around yesterday. There's a bee in the carrots. Dude, you took a wrong turn. This is not the place. And I saw, hold on, let me see if I can find it. I started seeing some shoulders of carrots. Little ones. This is our turnips that a friend of ours gave to us because mine weren't doing so well. But, dude, I'm busy, man. This is what I deal with. They're always welcome. I can feel it. Look. I don't know if you can see that. There's a carrot under there. Anyway, tuck that back in. So the beans are starting to climb the teepee, which is awesome. And I'm trying to remember how long it takes before they climb and they flower. At least probably 2 weeks out, I think, from getting any flowers on here or little beans. The onions are doing well, and I'm excited. I'm already thinking about next year that I'm going to start more from seed, and I'm going to be, I guess, a little bit more diligent in how I'm seeding them and how I'm taking care of them inside, because they look great. I'm excited. I pulled the soil away from some of the bulbs just to give them some room to grow, but I'm happy with that. These are my radishes that I'm letting go to seed. And actually, I have a question for you guys. I sowed these radishes. They did not do well. Does it make sense for me to harvest seeds from radishes that didn't do well? I always figured, like, you want to harvest seeds from things that did well in the garden. I'm just worried that if I harvest these seeds, are they going to perform the same way as this batch did, which wasn't stellar. It wasn't great. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I might do some Googling. But if any of you know, let me know in the comments. And here's an interesting dilemma. So this was my failed turnip bed. I left the turnips there, and I planted bush beans in between. And then all of a sudden, the turnips woke up. I don't know what to do here. I'm just going to leave everybody grow to their heart's content and see what happens. And this is a mustard green that I had planted a while ago, this too. But this turnip decided to wake up. Look. I don't know what's happening. Maybe this is the turning point of this bed. I finally decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to do my job now. Because this is one of the ones that had a soil issue last year. But, I mean, it is what it is. Green onions look good. This is another bed with greens. Look at the kale. Isn't that a gorgeous plant? Beautiful plant. I seeded some more kale there earlier. That was the original batch. This is some mustard greens, which obviously has flowered. This is also mustard greens and one collard back there. That's a collard. And then I had seeded some more kale here. And I'm trying to think. I had sown some basil here. Let me see. Was it basil or was it kale? I see a little kale plant there. That's a kale. That's a lettuce. That's a lettuce. This is a weed. With time, you start to know what's a weed and what's not, because they all kind of start to look the same at the seedling stage. Anyway, that's all good. So far, I'm really happy with the garden this year. Things are going well, better than last year. Isn't that a nice sight? Look at all that garlic there. Ah. All right. And then here, the one that's doing really well is the peach tree. It survived all the winds. Let me see if I can go on this side to avoid the glare of the sun. It seems like there's glare everywhere. Yeah, the peaches are still up there. They're still there. Slowly growing. Slowly ripening. I have my reflective tape. The birds don't really touch this, to be honest. Like, I haven't seen them touch anything on the fruit trees this year. Checking the plums. The plums, plentiful as well. That's going to be so exciting. I left the branch that lost all of its leaves, the one that broke and we reattached and that whole drama. I'm going to leave it there. This doesn't belong to that branch. This is another branch. But I feel like, anyway, I'm going to let it go over the winter. If it survives, great. If it doesn't, we'll probably just cut it off and just leave the rest of the tree. Carry on. Apple trees. I think I saw one apple. This one had one apple. Yeah, there's one. One apple there. They're baby trees. I mean, they're only on year 2. And this one too has a few up here. Let me see. There's one there, and some up there as well. So hopefully, if we can get one apple. Last year, we only had one growing, and then a critter stole the one that we had. It was on this tree. But we had peaches last year. We didn't have plums. And pears, I don't think they even flowered. I'm trying to look up there because the flowers were like way up there, but I don't see any fruit forming yet. So maybe next year. Same thing with this tree. There were flowers up there. I didn't see any flowers down below. But that's okay. Baby trees, young trees, they need a minute to start producing. All right, so I am going to count all of the garlic, bring it inside, lay it on. I put them on these huge cookie racks on top of wax paper, and I just put them in my pantry. It's one of the cooler places in the house, just to keep an eye on them and keep them out of the way of the cats, because the cats like to play with the fronds. So yeah, we tried that one year. That did not go well. So from that point onward, we had to put them somewhere where the cats couldn't get to them. And I don't have any place like outside, like a covered porch or something like that, that I can lay them out. And it's so humid here, it's so moist. That wouldn't be a good idea. So I'm going to bring them inside and get them curing. And that's going to be at least 2 weeks so that they cure and they dry off. And I'm going to wait until all the leaves are brown. All the leaves are brown. I didn't mean to do that, I swear. And then once that happens, you can cut off the stalk and the roots, brush off the rest of the soil that's going to be dry by that point, and store them wherever. I usually keep them in a bowl in my pantry, just because it's a cool place out of the sun. And they last. I still have garlic from last year that we're eating. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining me. I'm enjoying my quiet morning in the garden, harvesting the garlic. It's one of the highlights of the season. And then I'll be keeping some of the larger cloves from this batch and planting them in October. And I'm likely going to do that in the carrot bed, because I think the carrots are going to be harvested by then. Right now it's the mid or end of July. I'm going to plant them. That'll be harvested within the month, I would imagine. That'll be soon. And then I'll plant my garlic in October, late October, early November, in that bed for next year. And the cycle continues. Happy gardening, everybody.